Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to yet another Destiny 2 video, and today we're going to be continuing on with the top 3 best weapons series. Now for this video specifically, we're going to be focusing on scout rifles, and I'm basically going to be recommending the top 3 for PvP. Now one thing I wanted to cover very quickly is that this is not a video that is supposed to be like, hey guys, here are the top 3 best weapons that are, meta, need to use these weapons if you want to do well. That's the furthest from the truth. A lot of the weapons, like I've mentioned in my previous videos, are extremely well balanced in this game, and I really don't think any one weapon is way better than any other. You can practically use anything in this game and still find massive amounts of success with that specific weapon or loadout if you use it in your optimal range. So I just want to throw that out there. This isn't one of those videos that's showing you guys the meta. This is just what I think, and basically what a lot of my teammates think, because we come up with these videos together. I like to get a lot of different people's opinions on these specific videos because I know that they can get a lot of hate if you're wrong and totally off the mark. Before we get into this list, I want you guys to comment down below what 3 scout rifles you think are currently the best for PvP. I'm really interested to see if you guys have very similar ideas to what I have in this video. Without further ado, let's get right into it. So the first weapon is the weapon that you guys have been watching for the past minute or so, and that is the MANANNAN SR4. This is an Amalon weapon, and of course it is completely reskinned from Destiny 1. I believe the Wrath of the Machine raid scout rifle looked exactly the same, minus all of the SIVA over the weapon itself. Now taking a look at the stats, this weapon actually has one of the best time to kills out of all these scout rifles in the game. It's tied for number 1 with 4 or 5 other scouts. If you go for 4 headshots and 1 body shot, you get 1.2 seconds to time to kill, and that is of course optimal. If you go for body shots though, which is what you do not want to do, this weapon becomes very bad. So do not land body shots with this weapon. It is effective when you are landing your headshots, as it has a very fast time to kill. It's got a 200 rate of fire value, which is the same archetype as the MIDA multi-tool, and basically the crit damage, body damage, all that is very similar to the MIDA. Now taking a look at some of the more detailed stats, such as the range, it's got a 32 value, which is a little bit low, but with perks that actually jumps up quite a bit. We have 46 stability, which honestly doesn't really give the whole picture. The weapon itself is very stable and easily controllable. It's got 57 reload speed, 71 handling, and 72 aim assist. Both of those values right there are definitely above average, and I think that's all the stats that we have for this specific weapon. Now you might be wondering, why am I recommending this weapon right here? Why is it on a top 5 list if it's just above average? Well, for those of you who don't know, high caliber flinches the crap out of your enemies, and this thing has one better than high cal. It is explosive rounds. For those of you who have not been hit by explosive rounds before, it feels like a truck is absolutely ramming your screen, and it's very difficult to land your shots, to say the least. So if you have explosive rounds on your weapons, which this weapon does, and it has a very low time to kill, those things combined make it an absolute lethal weapon. So make sure to try it out if you haven't already. It's a fantastic legendary scout. The next weapon on this list is something that probably every single person watching this video assumed was going to be here, and that is the exotic scout rifle, the MIDA multi-tool. This is a very controversial weapon recently because a lot of people have been using it in trials, and by a lot of people I mean like 90% of fire teams have at least one person with a MIDA multi-tool. It's pretty crazy how common this thing is in PvP, but anyways, so it is a pretty controversial weapon. Some people think it's OP, some people don't. I'm personally on this side of the weapon being okay, but I just think that high caliber rounds should have never been added to Destiny 2. For those of you who don't know, they were removed in Destiny 1, and for some reason they were brought back into Destiny 2, and I don't necessarily agree with that. I think anything that gives you extra flinch is very hard to balance, and that should maybe just not be in the game at all. But anyways, taking a look at the stats, it has a 1.2 second time to kill, and that is of course the optimal time to kill if you're landing your 4 crits and 1 body shot, just like the MANANNAN SR4. If you land body shots, it decreases very quickly, so make sure to land those headshots because that is going to give you the fastest time to kill. Now diving into the stats here, range is 50, which is better than most of the other scout rifles on this list, at least the scout rifles with the same archetype archetype. Now it also has a 50 stability rating, which is better than all the other archetypes that are very similar, and it also has a reload speed of 82 that is extremely quick. I'm talking like lightning quick. And then the two stats that matter the most in my opinion, we have handling at 86 and aim assist, I shit you not, at 100. It is absolutely maxed out, so you're barely going to be missing shots with this thing because it does all the aiming basically for you. So the most important stats, handling and aim assist, are the maximum basically that it can be for scout rifles, much better than all the other scout rifles, so it has that advantage. And it also has a lightweight perk that basically makes your guardian a lot quicker when he's running with the MIDA tool out. On top of all that is high caliber rounds, and now you're starting to see why it's one of the most used weapons in Trials of the 9. Finally, for this list, we have the Nameless Midnight. This is a scout rifle that's infamous for trying to counter the MIDA multi-tool in the Trials of the 9. Now, don't get me wrong, this is not the only scout rifle that is capable of countering the MIDA. The first weapon that I brought up in this video, the MANANNAN, actually has a great chance of countering the MIDA multi-tool because it's basically the exact same archetype. I mean, it has a 200 rate of fire, it has the exact same time to kill, and all the damage numbers are basically the exact same. So that weapon is perfect for countering, but this weapon is also perfect, but it's slightly different in terms of its archetype. So let's take a look at all of the stats right now. Its optimal time to kill is 1.33 seconds, so that means it is about 0.13 seconds slower than the MIDA multi-tool and the MANANNAN, but that's not really a big deal. 0.13 seconds is very, very minuscule, and in a game like Destiny 2, you're most likely going to trade that out instead of actually, it making a difference in getting the kill rather than not. Now, it also has a body shot time to kill of 1.67, which is better than the MIDA multi-tool and the MANANNAN. So if you maybe miss a headshot, then you might be better off using the Nameless Midnight rather than the MIDA multi-tool. It's got a 180 rate of fire rather than a 200, so it's a little bit slower, but honestly, when I was using it, it really didn't feel that much slower than the MIDA or the MANANNAN. It felt almost identical, and I mean, 180 compared to 200 really isn't that big of a deal. Now, taking a look at some of its more in-depth stats here, it's got a 34 body damage number, it's got crit damage of 48, it has a range of 46, which is actually very good for a scout in this specific category. It's got 44 stability, which is again not too bad. It's got 50 reload speed, which is average, 47 handling, which is actually very good, and 62 aim assist, which is a little bit above average. Now, of course, you cannot top the MIDA multi-tool when it comes to the handling and aim assist, but of course it does win in other departments, like I mentioned, the body shot damage. Also, on top of all this, instead of having high cal, this weapon has explosive rounds, which does more flinch to your opponent, so that can also be a real reason why people are using this and trying to counter the MIDA multi-tool. But that's basically going to do it for the video, guys. That is all three of the scout rifles that I would recommend using for all PvP purposes. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, a like rating would be very much appreciated. Subscribe for more daily Destiny 2 content. Have yourselves a great day, and I'll see you all later. Peace.